Hello, hello, hello. I am here with our friend, other Jeff from Nichols Astrology. Used to be trauma type, and we're here to talk about. Or he's here to mostly to talk about our favorite, one of the most enigmatic men of our lifetime, Mr. Donald Trump. We're gonna take a look into his astrology chart, the darkest corners of his psyche, try to figure out what makes this man tick. So, welcome, Jeff. What's going on?
Not much. Just keep on keeping on, I guess.
What are the stars doing today? Like what IG he's not there's not going to be a Trump 2028, or maybe there will. We'll find out today. What do the stars say? So just generally what's significant that's happening in the heavens that might interest us?
Well, I wrote a blog article on it not that long ago. I actually just got done editing the video. I'm gonna upload it. Oh, hey, King Corso Mom. Uh, there's a Neptune, right? Since 2011 or so, it's been in Pisces, and Neptune and rules Pisces. It's the modern ruler, and it rules things like delusions and psychosis and strange fringe beliefs and conspiracy
Basically the
theories and things
Paddleverse.
like that. So I think the last 14 years or so, that's when like the social justice movement kind of came up, and this whole trans delusional supremacy stuff was kind of prevalent. And well, on March 30th, in 3 days, it's going to move into Aries, which is,
The Ram.
yeah, so it's going to be very
Mars.
aggressive and no nonsense, straight to the point. And I think Donald Trump is kind of like an archetype of that Neptune and Aries and getting out of Pisces. He's like, there's like he did like a press conference a couple weeks ago, said the woke movement is dead.
Yeah, we
Hopefully the
watched it.
woke movement is dying. I don't think it's dead yet, but I think it's going to be more of a fight. I think there's going to be a lot of a lot of protest and upheaval and a lot of rams butting heads, I guess to say. But I think the dynamic of people are going to change, like the Snow White movie that just bombed in the box office.
The one with the black Snow White.
Yeah, was she black? I thought she was like, I don't know. She's not white. She's like
Oh, she was
brown or
BIPOC. She was of color.
yeah. And she just like spoke out against like, oh, it's the Prince Charming saving the princess is, misogynistic, and she was like trashing the cartoon and the movie
Women
like
know they want
bombed.
that.
And I think people are just tired of, being indoctrinated by this stuff. And, Trump definitely indoctrinates with his own, his own little agenda. So,
Oh, you think it seems to only work on certain people.
yeah. But it seems like
It's
most of the United
interesting
States,
to
at least,
watch the types that are indoctrinated by Trump.
yeah, it seems like most of the countries either team red or team blue, but there's a few people who have a couple shades of purple there.
Enlightened centrism.
Okay, let me
Mars
look
and
on.
Scorpio, that's its native ruler, Mars and Pluto. What does it mean in your birth chart if your native ruler is in the same sign as it rules?
It's called a depositor, so it just kind of means like it's in the house or the planet's in the sign that it rules, and it's kind of unhindered and most comfortable there. There's like
Hmm.
ancient astrology where they have like, oh, you're in your exaltation and your fall and your detriment and stuff like that. We don't really look at it that way. Like they say, like Scorpio and Mars is like where it's most comfortable and it's most powerful and it's good and it's great. Like Neptune being in Pisces would be kind of seen as its exaltation in ancient astrology, and it is good, but is it good? Good morning, Joe Cole. Not sure which Jeff you're referring to, but
That's a conundrum. Uh,
yeah.
um, I'm not either, actually. Hey, Joe. I assumed it was me, but then, like, I don't know. Joe might be relieved to see another Jeff
Yeah,
for
maybe just call
once.
me Nichols or something. I don't know.
Nichols.
Everyone mistakes my name as Nicholas, so I'm sure I get called Nicholas a lot.
Well, should we get into it?
Sure.
A journey into the psyche of Donald Trump.
Yeah, my son has Mars in Scorpio, so I can definitely see that.
I
But
think mine's
anyways,
in Scorpio too.
is it? Yeah, I think I remember. You have a lot of Scorpio stuff.
I think Pluto is too. Yeah, I had a lot in Scorpio. All right, so should I pull up the chart or do you want to say
Yeah.
some words first?
Yeah. Go ahead and pull it up. I'm ready to
All
write.
right, here it is, the reveal.
Okay.
This is what the sky looked like the day that Donald Trump came into our world.
Yep, but I don't have his birthday offhand. I think it was June 14th, 1943 or 1947 at 10:54 p.m. in Queens, New York. So it's like looking up with some kind of space camera and taking a snapshot of the sky as soon as he was born. So I guess we'll start off with his
It
son.
right away what I know it seems very orderly, very symmetrical. Or
Yeah,
it
so I know like a month or so ago I kind of popped on late at night and I wasn't really prepared or in the right state of mind to debate, but we were talking about either if Trump is an ESTP or an ENTJ. I see this with NTJs, INTJs, and ENTJs. I see this really, really commonly, mostly with ENTJs. Like Xeon, the guy that I was doing astrology with, his chart's like
mm,
this, and Oflamo too. And mine too, in a certain extent. Like all this stuff's over here, all bundled up. Then over here is usually the moon. Right next to it's the south node. That doesn't count as like one of the 10 quote unquote planets. They count the sun and moon as a planet, but it's not exactly a planet. I try to call them placements. I think that's a better word. But
placements.
yeah, because those are luminaries. The sun and moon are luminaries, and you can argue Pluto's a dwarf planet now or whatever. But pretty much this is called a bucket pattern. So all this stuff here is like the bucket, this is the pail, and this is like the handle. So you got all this stuff that's kind of contrasting your moon, which is kind of like your emotional state.
And it's in Sagittarius. And what's the third house again?
The third house,
Or
oh,
is that the fourth? No,
this
that's
is
the
the fourth house. The
okay.
third house is about your intellect, your communication,
He's empty
kind
there.
of the way you orient yourself with the world. And the fourth house is kind of like your home, what makes you comfortable, what makes you secure.
The White House.
The White House, yeah. I actually heard him say something before in his first presidency. The White House is just too small and not luxurious enough for him, so that's why he goes to what is it called, the Mar-a-Lago or whatever it is.
Mar-a-Lago, he prefers that to the White House.
Yeah,
The White House does seem a little stuffy to me.
it's a little old and
A little
outdated, I think.
formal.
Yeah,
Like living in a museum.
yeah, basically what it is. Museum of Corruption and Greed. But anyways, down over here, we would consider that a focalizer, something that we need to focus on because this quadrant right here, kind of like this is the fourth house and the fifth house and the sixth house. So this is kind of like how your own personal comfort is right here. This is kind of like the way you express joy and the way you are like you're romantic and your flings and stuff like that. And this is like the house of skills and servitude towards other people. These are all blank.
Very empty.
So it's like his emotional state right here, and it's conjunct his south node, and we'll get more into the south node and north node later. Um, but the south node's kind of like where you're straying away from. Like if you believe in past lives, it's kind of like shows like what your life was back then, and kind of like where you came from, and old habits you're trying to get away with, and old habits that are holding you back. And your north node is kind of like where you need to go, and it's conjunct his sun and Uranus.
What Trump doesn't seem that concerned about his bad habits. Does it give us a clue to some of the things that might be holding him back?
So in Sagittarius, the negative kind of points on that is you're very dogmatic, you're very idealistic, like my way or the highway, I'm right and you're wrong, kind of like this arrogance about it. And you're going to look at the big picture of things, you're not going to look at the details. It's just kind of like white or black, basically. And being in the fourth house is kind of like, this is my comfort, this is my zone, I'm always going to be right. And if anybody steps on my toes or I'm gonna have a fit, basically. So kind of like I lost the presidency in 2020. Let's incite a riot.
Well, some would say. Yeah, yeah, that doesn't sound familiar at all. Hardly recognizable. No, it just sounds exactly like him.
Yeah, but his moon and stuff like that in Sagittarius. So it's in a fire sign, so it's going to be very hot and passionate and hot-headed. And we were talking about Mars earlier, and that is right here on his ascendant as well. And your ascendant's kind of like
Oh yeah, what's his rising? Libra?
Leo.
Leo.
Yeah. So might kind of
Very yeah, very Leo. He's definitely that.
yeah, it comes off as in your face. Look at me. I'm need the center of attention. I need to be in charge. I'm very forward and direct. In Mars, there's the planet of war, fighting, and aggression, and all that stuff. So, and like your Leo, it kind of constitutes your appearance, and I think it's fabricated, but his hair does look a lot like a lion's mane, and his complexion is quite orange, like the sun, or like kind of like a lion tinge in a way. So mature. I still giggle when everyone says Uranus.
Wait, what happened? They didn't have the White House tour? What happened? They got rid of it? I didn't even know that there was anything to bring back. I didn't know he had gone away. I went to DC on a field trip when I was younger, and we took the White House tour.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we saw Nancy Reagan's limousine.
I
She
know a
was
lady that
pulling
had
in her limo as we were leaving, and the Secret Service were like pushing everybody away.
really.
Yeah, we got a picture of the end of her car.
Ronald Reagan supposedly had a personal astrologer too.
That's right. Yeah, he made some of his decisions based on, and Nancy. She
Yeah,
was, it's ironic that they were into all that and they were so religious right and moralistic about all the other
I think
Christian
religion's a
principles.
facade for most presidents, just to kind of get the votes, and get the presidential archetype going on. But yeah, anyways, all this stuff right here is opposing, making a 180-degree opposition to this 10th house stellium in Gemini, which consists of the Sun, the North Node, and
Uranus.
Uranus, whatever you want to call it.
I know my audience, so I think it's safer to say Uranus.
Yeah, like people say, "Oh, we'll say Uranus." It's not as funny or
But
childish.
isn't it closer to the Latin if you say Uranus anyway? Uranus,
I think it's Uranus is like the correct
Uranus.
pronunciation of it. But that's kind of the nature of Uranus, Uranus, tomato, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of this strange, weird, like energy that's hard to hold down and pinpoint. So even the name of it is like confusing and hard to
Yeah.
pronounce. It's kind of interesting. She said that what the White House was
Uranus
suffering
is the
COVID.
planet of the outliers
Yeah. So there you go. It's about outliers, exile,
and liars.
pretty much.
So it's
So
Uranus, the North Node, and the Sun.
yeah, so this is in the 10th house, the house of career and public reputation and public recognition. It's kind of like it indicates what the public has an image of you, like kind of what you show to the world. And his sun there, which is the sign of leadership or the planet of leadership, expressing yourself to the world. So having a 10th house sun, I actually have a 10th house sun too. It's kind of creeping into the 11th house, but this kind of shows like it can indicate like fame and stuff. I'm definitely not famous. I have like 500 subs on my channel, but
By
but
the
it's
way, I posted his channel, so give him a sub and like and views stuff.
yeah. You can also go to nicholsastrology.com, and on my channel, I don't think I listed the blog post, but I wrote a blog post on this, and I wasn't very nice about Trump here.
Oh,
I'm not a fan of either the left or the right. But yeah, anyways, this is his public image, like his son showing there, like he's going to be ahead of a business. He's going to be in charge. He's going to be a leader because that's how people see him in the 10th house. And with Gemini, that's about media and communication. And we were talking about the third house that rules the third house down here. It's associated with the third house, I should say. So, yeah, so he's going to be on camera all the time. He's going to be a reality TV star. He's going to be the president of the United States. And he has Uranus, whatever you want to call it there. And that is, like we said, it's the planet of upheaval. It's the planet of rebellion and things like that. It can represent like genius and not necessarily like Einstein IQ genius scoring 180 on an IQ test or whatever. It could be about like, I don't know, like say if it was conjunct Mars over here, Mars could represent sports. I haven't looked at Michael Jordan's chart, but he had sort of an intelligence about the way he played basketball. He can do things with his body that other people just couldn't do. So
Trump does have a certain type of genius to him. I think I think there's a genius in how he reads and responds to people, and I think some of his trolling, there's a genius to the way he's able to read people's buttons and troll them.
oh
So
yeah,
it's also very outward facing. He's kind of like a performance artist, a media genius. He knows what the audience craves and he gives it to them.
yeah. I
Like
mean, he was,
even the assassination attempt, the split seconds after it happened, he was already capitalizing on that moment and turning it into. I think it was instinctive. Like I don't even think he had time to put a lot of thought into it, and he owned that moment like within seconds,
I kind
and
of
he
thought
turned it
maybe,
into a media advantage for himself.
yeah, I might have even been staged. Really, he might have like, okay, just nip my ear a little bit or something
You
like
think
that,
so?
or just because it kind of
Got the
made him look like a
fingernail
martyr.
scissors out, chop real quick.
Yeah, it made him like a hero. You know, it made him like a martyr. Maybe that was just like a little
He did it.
explosion pack.
He captured that moment for himself. Like, and he did it in like lightning with lightning speed.
Yeah, got lightning in a bottle there. But anyways, all this stuff here, like his ego, because this represents his ego, and like he, you know, like the weird looking haircut, that's not an accident. He does that on purpose, and the weird complexion and the things he does. So kind of like making himself look strange. Yeah, President Trump is a master troll. Yeah, he's probably the most famous or infamous person in the world right now, and we voted a
Yeah,
celebrity in, and like he's just done these things like we've never done before. Like he never had a president, was the 45th, then got, you know, he didn't win the re-election, then he got re-elected the next term. It's made history. But I think in 20, 30 years, if we're not blown off the face of the earth, you know, that people are going to look back like, what the hell was going on during this period? It's just strange, you know.
I think they'll be longing for the Trump days, the good old days
The good old days.
when
Yeah.
we had Donald, because there'll be somebody even worse to complain about. That seems to be how it happens. People complained about Reagan, and then when Bush was in office, they were like, "Oh God, can we get Reagan back?" And then they complained about Bush, and Trump became office, and they're like, "Oh my God, can we just get George Bush again?"
Yeah. Definitely. They changed their kind of style there, going these stiff, formal, conservative presidents and stuff to Donald Trump.
Yeah, I've grown to, if not like, at least appreciate the guy.
Oh, really? Why
Yeah.
do you, what exactly do you appreciate? Just because his butting against left?
Um. Well, as a Satanist, I admire the fact that he's unapologetically himself. Like he really represents a lot of the satanic values. He has his own mind. He does his own thing. He's highly individualistic. But what really captured me during the campaign, because I was giving them both an equal shot, Kamala just really turned me off, was the assassination attempt and then the McDonald's fry thing. When he
Donald
went to
Fry
that
thing.
McDonald's and started working that fry station, that was a master class.
He went to a McDonald's, started working on a fry station.
Yeah, you didn't see that? It
No.
was like I don't know, maybe a few weeks after the assassination. And because Kamala claimed to like it was a troll. It was a complete troll. Kamala said she had worked at McDonald's when she was younger and she knew what it was like. It turned out that she didn't actually work there. So he showed up at McDonald's to work a day at McDonald's to say that he really worked at McDonald's. He doesn't have to lie about it. Watch me, I'm really working there. And they put him on the fry station and he made fries.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Was it really the whole day, or was it just long enough to be on camera to show him doing it?
I think it was long enough to be on camera. And then like people would come through the drive-through and he would hand the bags out to them. And they'd be like, but it was all staged because the people in the drive-through knew that Trump was in there and they were part of the event.
Yeah, because someone just pulled out a handgun and just shot him in the face. You know.
But it was great TV. It like he really again he made that moment his own.
Yeah.
He knows how to work a crowd.
Our lives are basically a reality TV show anymore.
Yeah, especially with the age of social media and content creation.
Yeah, it's definitely strange. But yeah,
So
all this stuff like his ego and like I need to be in charge, I need to be a lead kind of opposes his emotional needs. Like he's just kind of this workaholic. He's what pushing 80 and he just goes like 100 miles an hour all day. So
yeah,
he doesn't really take care of his own comfort and his own needs. That's real ENTJ thing too. They're just like kind of the archetypal stereotypical workaholics, the corporate businessmen and things like that. Sounds like this guy wants to kill the president of the United States. Classy. Okay. Yeah, that's my
who,
intention there.
Jeff? Where you get that? How do you get that, IG? Well, he's the one that turned me. He's the whole reason that I went out for fries in the first. I was so inspired. I said, I'm gonna go get me some McDonald's. I hadn't had McDonald's fries in like 30 years at least. I'm gonna go get me some fries because I'm so inspired watching Donald Trump work that fry station. And they were the most delicious things that I've put in my
McDonald's fries are
mouth
good
in
for about
years.
10 minutes and it's just like greasy cardboard. You haven't had McDonald's fries in 30 years?
Mm-mm. I don't eat fast food at all. And now I'm addicted to them. I get them like every few weeks. They're so good. Oh my God. I want some right now. We got to quit talking about it.
Okay, so
No,
internet.
he said, IG, he said if when he worked the fry station, if it wasn't staged, then they run the risk of random people coming through the drive-through with a gun. It was like a security risk. So it would have to be staged for security reasons. That was his point. It wasn't about him pulling out a gun, shooting
Yeah,
Trump in the face.
obviously. So it's just like the left, they hear something and they over exaggerate it and turn it the way they want to hear, and the right hears something and they over exaggerate it and they turn it the way they want to hear. That's kind of
Yeah,
like,
that's what people do in general. I was going to do a stream on that yesterday because we had a conversation the night before demonstrating exactly that, and I may do it today. But people do we do things with language
you
based
hear.
on what we want to believe or portray rather than what it accurately represents. All right, what else we got?
All right. So we can look at the cusp of the 10th house, which all this stuff is in. It starts out here in Taurus. So people like with a Taurus cusp in the 10th house, the MC or the midheaven, that represents, again, like the career, your public image, and things like that. So Taurus is kind of about like finances. It could be about beauty and serenity and nature and animals and all that hippie shit too. But it's also about like it's an earth sign, so it's about cold hard cash and things like that. So someone like with an MC there, midheaven there, like they have accumulated wealth over many years, and he's been a billionaire for decades, and that kind of doesn't just happen by accident. I know he claims that he borrowed $1 million from his dad that way back then, Fred Trump, and he turned it into the fortune he has today. So, not sure if that's true or not, but so you're a
If
Trumper
it's
now.
not true, what's the alternative?
That he inherited it, or I don't know really. I don't know a
Oh,
whole
I
lot
mean,
about
might
it.
have been both. Like once Fred died, he might have gotten more.
Yeah, could have been. And he has nothing in the eighth house, which is the house of inheritance. That's blank, but stuff transits there and stuff all the time. So
He
who
has a
knows?
lot of empty houses actually. He's kind of concentrated into what about 5 houses?
Yeah, when people have stuff like this, is they're kind of like this is what they're going to focus on in life, and this is what they're going to be about. But yeah, so that's someone who kind of accumulate a lot of money and stuff over time. It's not necessarily like everybody's gonna be a rich, but the people with Taurus kind of collect things, and he can be collecting money is one of the things that he could be collecting, of course, and just accumulating this vast amount of wealth and maintaining it. But I heard he did go bankrupt like 4 times, so who knows?
Oh, yeah. You never can tell with him. It wouldn't surprise me.
And this MC point is making a midheaven to his Saturn, which is conjunct his um, Venus. So that would kind of indicate kind of like some kind of hardship possibly with relationships, because Saturn is about limitation and restriction and kind of rules and regulations, and Venus is a planet of relationships and beauty and art and love. And it's in Cancer in the 11th house. So kind of that would kind of indicate his Mercury is there too. Like his Venus in the Cancer would kind of show that he's real soft spoken and real gentle with people, but with Saturn there, it kind of makes it like a taskmaster. So he kind of it's probably a little hard and aggressive with people that he's with. And Naga, please, your chart looks like an eyeball. Okay, got distracted. But the 11th house is kind of associated in ancient times as the house of friends, but I say it's more the house of community. And who's he in a community with? I mean, billionaires, I guess, is really his community. Donald Trump never went bankrupt.
The
Just curious.
companies did, but not him, not himself, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, what does it mean? She has a point here. It's very concentrated in that one quadrant. So what is that fourth quadrant? And what are the houses in it?
this one up here.
Yeah, we're all his, yeah, that one. We're all his planet. We're all, most of his stuff is.
This is mostly like kind of how he's seen in like in the societal whole. This is like I said, the house of career and the house of public image. It's how society views you. This is the house of people you associate with and the house of community. So right now his community is kind of like the whole United States really, but I think it really goes down to billionaires and kind of like who he's going to help. And the 12th house is kind of the outlier here. This is where Pisces goes into Aries. Pisces, we're talking about Neptune going into Pisces to Aries. So it's going from the 12th house to the first sign, the 12th sign to the first sign. So it's about endings and beginnings. This is kind of like about secrets and fear, and could be about
Ooh.
prisons and things like that. And this is what's called the house of troubles back in the day in ancient astrology.
What
So
do
this
we have
kind of
in there? Mars and is
Pluto.
that Venus?
That's Pluto. This is Venus
Oh
right
yeah,
here.
Pluto. Mars and Pluto. Oh,
Yeah. So he's going to have a high concentration in this life about his public image and his focus on how people view him as a whole rather than as an individual.
so he's very like public facing on the
Yeah.
world stage.
So he has a lot of stuff here,
Stage of fools.
and he has a lot of stuff here too in the house of money. That's what's called the house of money, the house of finances. That's just a generic old school term for it, the house of money. It is about money, but it's also about basic
Jupiter's down there
resources
too,
you
which
need.
is kind of the planet of prosperity.
Yeah. So Jupiter's in the second house, so that could kind of indicate exponential wealth. And it's making a trine, which is a 120-degree kind of flowing aspect. The ancients would call that a positive aspect. And it's going to all this stuff up here, the sun and Uranus and stuff like that. So that would kind of help exemplify all that stuff. It's also about self-worth and your self-confidence and your self-belief. So people who have stuff here, um, they either have like an abundance of like self-esteem or they have a lack of it. And well, I think he has quite the abundance of it. You can
Yeah,
see,
more than enough to go around. It's a shame he can't pass it off to others, spread it around a bit. What is the why is the line turquoise in the middle and then some of them are yellow? Does that indicate anything?
so the yellow ones are the trines and sextiles. That is a 120-degree aspect, and that's a 60-degree aspect. The
Oh, and then
ancients
the other
call
one's
those,
the oppositions.
yeah. And those turquoise ones are the squares, which are 90 degrees, and oppositions, which are 180. So the blue, the turquoise color is kind of seen as quote unquote bad, and the yellow is quote unquote good.
Kane's saying that because of the cancer that it indicates strong ties to family.
It can, yeah. Like family doesn't necessarily have to be your flesh and blood family. I kind of see like people that you consider family as well too. But
Because
does he
how
really?
many, like he said, what? How many wives? And so which kids are from what wife?
I honestly don't even
Melania
know.
is Baron's mom, right?
I honestly don't know. I know he just has a trophy wife, basically.
Let's
What it
see.
looks like. Wasn't she like from some Slavic country or something like that?
Um, yeah, we looked it up the other day. Slovenia. And Ivana was from Czechoslovakia. He loves those Eastern Europeans.
Yeah, so he
So
gets mail.
Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric Trump are all from Ivana. Oh, Marla Maples, I forgot about her. He had that affair with her. And then well, it looks like just Melania and that's Barron's. They had Barron together. So it looks like that's it. Three kids from Ivana and one from Melania. You are obsessed, dude. Hey, Moose. Good morning. It's this is the chart of Donald Trump. We're getting. It's not really insight because it's not telling us anything we don't already know about the guy, but it's like giving context for all the things we know. Is the chart? Is there anything surprising in this chart? Is the chart able to tell us something about him that we might not know already?
Well, I think we all kind of know it in the back of our minds, but we're not going to admit it. Chiron here is kind of in Greek mythology, he was a centaur. He was born half horse and half man because he was a demigod, and his mom abandoned him because he looked like a horse. I don't know what she was doing with horses or
Oh my
whatever,
God, I
but
had a horse baby. Well,
yeah,
leaving this one in the dumpster. Moose,
basically,
it's an astrology chart. It's a birth chart. This is a map of what the planets were doing the day Donald Trump was born back in 1946 or something. So what about Chiron?
yeah. So Chiron, he was abandoned by his mother, so that caused him to have this great wound. So Apollo, the sun god in Greek mythology, taught him medicine, so he became a healer. But if he never had that deep wound of being abandoned, he never would have became a healer. So if he never was hurt himself, he never would have healed others. So that's kind of what that indicates. So that
Donald
being,
Trump the healer,
yeah,
healer and
well,
drug dealer.
how I interpret this, and a lot of your audience and may not like this, but that's okay. So this is in the second house of self-worth, and this is a house of relationships and law and bureaucracy and things like that. So kind of like when you grow up rich, a lot of times is you get a lot of your financial needs met, but there's often a lot of lack of love and affection and things like that. And that is kind of the recipe for narcissism. So I think he kind of had this wound here. And narcissists, especially grandiose narcissists, they kind of paint this picture, this world. So he kind of had like all of his finances. He was set there. He had everything that he wanted, materialistic in ways, but he didn't get the love and affection that you need as a child, and that is like a natural resource that you need for survival is really love and affection. If you don't have that, a lot of negative things happen. So, anyways, a grandiose narcissist creates this world where they're the center of it and everybody's there to serve them. So, I think with that conjunct Jupiter there and its conjunct Neptune, which we already talked about, is like delusions and psychosis and things like that. I think this really caused his narcissism. What he says when he says a lot of the audience, I think he's talking about me. Me or Trump? Oh,
You.
okay. Yeah.
He's he's one of our Trump fans. Do you have a degree in psychology?
Me? No, I kind of was like two-thirds towards my bachelor's in psychology, but I do work in behavioral health and studied psychology and typology. So I kind of know a lot about it, I guess, but not a psychologist or anything like that.
Here, I'm going to drop your channel again. It's also in the description if you're interested in following Jeff. So he
Well,
has astrological narcissism. Yeah, narcissism is compensation for uh like being devoid of a stable sense of self. You have that abyss at the center of your consciousness or your soul that you have to create a false image to mask and avoid facing. It's very painful. It's to avoid the pain of having to face how nothing you actually are.
Yeah, it's like a bubble to kind of protect you from reality, basically. And I think with
Yeah.
all that stuff going on, he created this world where he's the center of it, and he's just the greatest. And yeah, I think
And in
IG.
his case, I think he actually, and I've seen this with narcissists I know in my personal life, I think he's actually bought into it where he believes the compensatory fiction that he's created. So,
Yeah,
because some of them know that they're faking it, but then some of them fall for the illusion that they create and actually begin to believe it.
absolutely. He's just been in this world for probably most of his life, really. And that's kind of like where everything comes out of his mouth is not really true. Like we're in a like with the Neptune and Pisces, we can't really believe anything we hear, and anything that goes against him is fake news, or it's the leftist agenda to bring him down, which probably a lot of it is, but I think a lot of it he's been fact checked, and a lot of things he say just isn't true. So I think that's kind of like the part of the world where he goes like, I believe this and I say this, so it goes right, and it's just making this trine all the way to his public image. So that kind of accentuates this image that he created for himself and projects it into the public, and the public see this, and he's very, very polarizing. Do you ever cancel men in your
He
church?
does seem to be yeah, it's hard to be ambivalent about the guy.
Yeah, like who's neutral on him? Like, can you show me one person who's like, I could take him or leave him?
Yeah.
You either love the
I mean,
guy or
I
you
was
hate the
kind of
guy.
neutral on him growing up. He was just this tacky celebrity in the background. But once even I enjoyed The Apprentice. I watched several seasons of The Apprentice. But then once he got into politics, that's when the neutrality resolved itself.
Yeah, like I don't know. I never really. He wasn't like, what do you say? I guess I'm a narcissist because I didn't get the love I needed as a child. There we go again. You're just taking things that you want to take out of context and blow it out of proportion. I didn't say that all people didn't get love. I didn't get loved as a child either, and I didn't become a narcissist. At least I don't think I am.
Ooh.
But it's just people who often are rich and pampered and they don't get the love, but they get spoiled rotten. That often is a recipe for narcissism.
And you know, every narcissism is a spectrum. It's a degree because every one of us, babies start out as they're the center of their world. They don't
Yeah.
start to incorporate other people until later in life. So we all have a degree of narcissism in us, or egoism, but it's how pathological it becomes, and
Yeah. Like for
what
him, it's a
degree of
personality disorder.
narcissism relative to everything else exists in us.
Tell me three things he said that weren't true.
That Trump said. Oh, now IG, you can't seriously believe everything that comes out of his mouth, right?
Like working at McDonald's for a full shift. Yeah, right. But anyways, anything else you kind of want to know?
About Trump.
Yeah.
um, well, okay. What the future? Is there anything that like it can? Because Trump is very chaotic and unpredictable. You never know what's coming around the corner with him. So, do we have any hints about what we might be in for over the next couple of years?
Well, one interesting thing about it is we talked about Uranus a little bit. It is in Gemini. Every time Uranus, it takes about 84 years or so to go around the complete zodiac and have its return. Every time since the incarnation of the United States, like there has been a major war when he was around that time. So during 1776, when the U.S. was founded, Uranus was in Gemini. We had the American Revolution. Again, this is about revolution, upheaval, and things like that. Just kind of like that was a period where monarchs were on their way out the door and democracy came in. The French had a similar revolution. Then it went around to the 1880s. That's when we had the Civil War. Then it kind of
And
came
was
back
that
around.
Gemini as well? Again,
Yeah, so Uranus and Gemini in the 1860s. Then it went back to the 40s, the 30s, and that's when we had World War II. So I think in July, I think Gemini enters or Uranus enters Gemini again. So hopefully history doesn't repeat itself. We don't have another major war. And with
Does
him,
anything enter Uranus? No, I'm sorry. That was just me. um, okay, so like
where's your mind?
you're predicting a major another like
Well,
that's
I don't know. I'm hoping it doesn't repeat itself, but this kind of seems the theme. So it's already happened 3 times, so it doesn't happen again, I hope.
Hey
But
freak, what's up? Yeah, I hope not either. Oh wow, hang on, we got memberships here. The freak, thank you very much. Let's see who our new outliers are. And that reminds me, in a few days, I'll be able to release more memberships too. Hebrew Hammer, welcome. And then a bunch of people oh, Govan, I've seen him here before. Farlap Moves, Mama Sue Lee, and Don't Judge Me. Oh, I haven't seen Don't Judge Me in forever. I know her from other parts of the Panelverse. Thank you very much, freak.
anyways, he has Uranus and Gemini, so is he going to usher us into this period? I mean, he stopped supporting Ukraine, which I could see because we're just like hemorrhaging money into it, but he kind of has
So
ties with
not
Putin.
only like globally, like impersonally, Uranus could indicate upheavals across the world, but because it's in his chart specifically, something about his own psyche or astrological background could contribute or be a catalyst for that.
Possibly. I don't know. I can't say for sure. His Uranus won't come down for an 8 till he's 84. And well, he's like 78 right now? Something like that.
Let's look
79.
him up. And how old was Biden? Because to me, when they were starting the campaign, they seemed about the same level of decrepitude.
Well, I think mentally Biden's a
Donald
lot more
Trump just
gone than
seemed to
Trump.
have a little more going on.
Yeah, I mean,
46. Damn, he's like almost
almost 80,
my
so he's
mom's
79.
age. Exactly. They
So he'll
were
be
like,
79, I think, in June. So he's almost 79. So if he lives another 5 years, which the rich usually do, he'll have his Uranus return, and that'll be
because of the
returning in
adrenochrome.
Gemini. Did you know
And
Trump
Biden
is?
is 42, so Biden's 4 years older.
Yeah, but Trump is a lot more healthy than Biden, I think, at least mentally. Did you
So,
look at?
oh, is he? I knew he was like German, Trump or something. I didn't know he had some Norwegian. Dobez, are you out there? Did you know that? You might be related to Donald Trump. Let's see. German and Scottish. Oh, I might be related to him. I have Scottish. We might all be tied up with him genetically. I don't see anything about Norwegian, but Wikipedia may not go back far enough.
Yeah, the genealogy of
Royalty or
Trump.
bastards are wannabe royalties.
Trump's.
Mary Ann McLeod. Bavaria. I like that. I've always loved that name, Bavaria. It sounds so exotic.
Theory is just as valid as any future predictions.
And hey, Dirt, what's up with you? We're learning about Well, we're. I don't know if we're learning because most of it's stuff. What?
What house rules going to Epstein Island? That could possibly be the eighth house, which there's nothing in right now, but you got to keep in mind that things transit. So this is just a snapshot when he was born, and all this stuff's been scattered out and going through his long life. Yeah, and is he honest about Epstein Island? Yeah, his
Will we
Leo
ever
rising,
know?
definitely we could talk about that too. And it's Mars conjunct, so that's going to make him very aggressive, kind of in your face. So, and this is also making a square to his midheaven, which is kind of what most do. So, kind of going to piss a lot of people off in the public image. He doesn't. A lot of people don't like him.
Yeah, he doesn't go out of his way to people please or make himself agreeable. Which that's kind of one thing I admire about him.
Yeah, that is, I guess, a good quality. But how far does he take it? Like, did he bail any of those people out that went to prison for rioting in the Capitol?
I thought he did. I thought he overturned or
Did
pardoned
he?
some of them.
Some of them?
Yeah, didn't he pardon some of the J6ers?
I know one guy from a metal band called Iced Earth was involved with that. I don't know if he exonerated him or whatever.
He did it
Trump.
on the very first day of his presidency. He issued a proclamation. 1,500 people convicted of offenses related to January 6th state capitol attack. 15. There were 1,500 people that were convicted that day. I had no idea that number was so high. It didn't even seem like there were that many people there. All released except a few. So then the ones that didn't get released probably were for very good reasons then.
What was the reason? I mean, he pitched a fit. A grown 70-something-year-old man lost the presidency. He pitched a fit and told him to tear down the Capitol
No,
building.
he didn't. I'll know. Okay, I watched it on video. He said peacefully protest.
Peacefully
That's been
protest.
debunked over and over and over and over. They have video evidence of exactly what he said, and it was not go tear the place down.
Well, why would they even need to peacefully protest? I mean, it was just democracy in action, wasn't it?
They need to peacefully protest because that's how you're supposed to protest.
But what was it a protest? You lost. I mean,
People can protest anything.
yeah, I see that. That's for sure. Been a lot of protests here in Tucson.
What are they protesting there?
Mostly Trump.
Oh,
I guess they did a boycott of the Tesla dealership, things
I
like
know
that.
that I see where they're like blowing up Tesla cars or something. They have are keying Teslas and destroying Teslas. To me, that's borderline terrorism.
Yeah, it is. And the left are just as out of whack as the right. I think the left are more out of whack than the right, really. And
And the left is violent. The left pretends like they're these hippie peaceniks that just want peace and love and everybody living in harmony. They are some of the most violent extremists politically that I know.
absolutely, like they're just
When they don't get
hiding.
their way, all that goes out the window and they go into hate like goblin attack mode.
That's true.
Anybody can have an opinion on politics. Have you met the Panelverse? It's an entire sector of YouTube of people that don't know shit about politics giving their opinions on it.
I mean, what do we really know about politics? Just whatever media outlet you're following
Right,
and what
exactly.
they're
Whatever
feeding you.
sources you follow. Everyone's in their own little information bubble,
Are you a
depending on where they
journalist with
get their
boots
news
on the
from or
feet?
what
Like,
YouTube channels they follow. That's why you follow this one. We at least try to vet our information here.
they hacked Tesla and doxed the owners, realizing liberals were the majority owner of Teslas. Yeah, because it's like Elon Musk is like, oh, let's save the world and make electric cars. And, well, he wants to become richer, I guess. So he, why is the richest man so obsessed with Trump? I know
I don't know.
Elon Musk did come
You
out.
think he's obsessed with him? Have you
Yeah, I
done
mean,
Elon's chart? That might be a good one to do next.
that's what I thought about doing next. Yeah, I kind of glanced at it. I really didn't look too deep into it. 15 people were not pardoned, but had their sentences commuted. I mean, shouldn't they pay for what they've done?
Well, it depends on what they were sentenced for.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of video evidence that they went and destroyed the Capitol and were rioting and not
Well, if they
peacefully
destroyed
protesting.
property, yeah, there should be consequences for that. But I think out of the people that were there, very few of them actually engaged in vandalism.
I don't know. I mean, it's like it just causes so much anxiety. I really don't follow it all that much. So, like, if I have no control over something, why am I going to stress about it?
Yeah, that's kind of healthy, actually.
Yeah, I try to do it, but every time you look at your phone or you look at a TV, there's the news on, and it's either this slant or this slant. And I go to my parents' house, and they just watch like it's not Fox News. I don't know what it is. It just talks about praising Trump all day, and
Praising Trump? What? It's like a TV station? It's TV news?
I think it's like on a Roku, like one of those free Roku channels or something like that. And they're just like, "Oh, this is what the left is reporting, but this is true because we say it's true, but it's really just somewhere in the middle."
or even 2020. I watched them happen in Seattle outside my window. Portland Andy, what is he? I don't I've never seen him. It looks like he does live streams that covers topics. Maybe I'll sub to him.
Portland Andy. I
I'll
don't
give him a
know.
chance. I'll give him a sub. Oh wow, 66,000 subscribers. I'll check him out. Well, they definitely slant and spin and frame particular ways based on their audience, but I don't know if it's out now. Propaganda to me is a very specific thing created for the purpose of misleading. And I don't know that every single media outlet is actively engaging in propaganda. But I think they all have their biases. That's why it's good to have a diversity of sources. So you're not getting all of your information from just one channel. And then use some critical thinking to kind of figure out on your own what's most likely to be true or what's the most probable reality. And people are there's they do that with varying levels of skill. One of the things I try to do in my channel is help that process. But even like in this day and age in social media, nobody's limited to just mainstream media or legacy media. So they don't even have the power they used to have. So if people think the media is controlling the world through propaganda, they're overlooking that there's so many alternative sources now. Nobody's stuck watching the legacy media. Their influence is so it's never been more diluted than now.
Yeah,
So
the internet's like the biggest.
I never put much weight in the claim that the media has the power that it has.
Yeah, like the internet's the world's biggest double-edged sword. Like everybody has a voice, but the bad part, everybody has a voice. So you
But
got these delete.
I think that's good because I think that's one of the foundations of democracy. It's supposed to be everybody having a voice and us all talking it out and figuring it out together. And that's happening more now with social media than before. And so from a democratic point of view, I think it's an indication of a healthy society.
Yeah, but every delusional crackpot has a voice, and they can get their own cult following, either literally or
Yeah,
figuratively.
absolutely. But then you have people like me that has a voice that can come along and counter it, and we can engage in dialogue and like mitigate some of that crack pottery.
Yeah, it just seems like it created a lot of attention. This is that we kind of like we're going forward with all this technology, but we went back to this primitive tribalism. It's really kind of what's.
We never left. I don't think we ever left. I think human evolution is slower than we're going to ever see in our lifetimes, or even multiple generations of lifetimes. So it's not that we're regressing to primitive. We've never left it. We just had a civilizational layer on top of it to help channel, like contain and channel it. And that's kind of, I mean, it's never 100% stable, but I think it's more dynamic than it was in the past and it's transitioning. But so it's kind of that primitive layer is able to come through more. But I don't think that because I think we're as primitive as we ever were.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just like there was this pressure cooker, and I think the internet just blew the top, and now there's beef stew all over the walls, and it's just everybody has a voice, and I think we're just so divided now. I don't think it's not really a democracy. We're slowly losing our rights, if anything.
I don't think we still have elections.
Yeah, but how true are they? How real are they? I mean, are they fixed
Are you
or?
doubting the recent election? It seemed
Oh, he won
pretty
by a landslide.
decisive.
Yeah, he won by a landslide, but like what about the 2000 election? With George W. Bush and Al Gore.
Yeah, I remember that one with Florida.
Yeah, and that was like,
The
man,
hanging
it just
chads.
yeah, the Chads. that guy's a whole new term now.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I don't know. I think the world is just crazy and it makes my head spin, and that's why we got these
But
leftist.
you think it's crazy because you're looking at the world through the internet. If you look out your window, you're probably not going to see that much craziness.
But didn't you say before, like you've literally walked out in the streets and like women and stuff were like, "Oh, you're toxic masculinity, you white man, get off the streets" and shit like that?
No, not just when I walk out on the street.
Okay.
There's been certain social settings I've been in where they've said stuff like that, but not just me walking down the street.
Yeah, like a couple months ago, I was actually at work and I accidentally bumped into this little snowflake girl, and she went to HR, and I even said, "Excuse me, sorry," and she went to HR and my supervisor and said that I like hockey checked her, and I got written up for it.
Wait, what? Whoa, what? She can No, no, no. They can't just write you up just 'cause she said it. They gotta do an investigation and have evidence and all that. I would challenge it.
Yeah, whatever. It's already been a few months. I'm like, whatever, you know.
Oh, let them try that with me. That'll be the day.
Yeah, it's just the way things are. Like in the last video I just made, I haven't released it yet. Actually, gonna try to release it on third. We got really off topic with the astrology, didn't we? But anyways, um, used to work in a psych hospital, and I was listening to this woman. And if anybody knows anything about typology, she was an INTP, like the super archetypal nerdy types. And I just listened to her talk to these people, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to school for computer science and this and that." And I went and looked at her chart to see the reason she was in there. She had sex with a guy, then she blackmailed him to say that she was going to rape him, or that she raped that sorry, he raped her unless he killed her. So she was suicidal and wanted him to kill her, and she was going to blackmail him uh with rape.
Well, and so, well, good thing he didn't. What did he do? Did he report her?
I don't know. I'm guessing
Because
that
she
the
ended
luck.
up there somehow. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, you got to
What
watch your shit these
is.
days. And there's this other two, like these two kids, and they promoted this lady too, the supervisor. Um, there was this girl and boy, they were kids. She claimed that this boy raped her, and they were got to press charges, and this kid's gonna be a registered sex offender the rest of his life. And finally, before it happened, she came out and said that it was a lie. But the supervisor like listened to her and was like punishing him and was like advocating for her and stuff like this, and it almost ruined this poor kid's life, you know. And it's just a shame, just because. Oh, my battery is about to die. Why is it not plugged in? Hold on, let me check that.
Oh. Well, um, you only have about an hour anyway, right?
I'm not in a huge hurry today, but yeah.
You got written up for, and then they took it off. Now, see, this is a legitimate write-up to me. Did you intend to ram your truck? To me, if you're ramming something, you're doing it on purpose. Otherwise, you would just say, I accidentally bumped my truck into an awning. Oh, you said, well, how are you doing now? It's, I mean, I'm glad the places are there for the people that need them when they need them. I hate to imagine the alternative. But also like with good community support, outpatient care, etc. Um, a lot of people can reduce the amount of time that they need them.
Psych ward chicks are easy. Okay. All right. Can you see that again? Oh, wait. We got to. Oh, wrong one.
Me say it again? Um,
Oh, if you
I
want
don't
to
even know what I was
re-present
saying.
it, I
Oh,
can.
about being in a psych ward. That I'm glad that we have them for, just like I'm glad we have hospitals for people that need them. But
Yeah.
that with good self-care and maintenance. Well, all things serious, if you ever want to come up one day and talk about it here, I would love to hear your story.
Yeah. I should have been in a psych ward many, many times, but I've never went.
You never, you not, oh, wow.
I mean,
I
me
was in
working.
it when I was young, not necessarily a psych ward, but the private pay kind of, what would you call them? Like the rehab type centers.
Oh, like for rich people?
I get it was through my mom's insurance at the time, but
Oh,
most of the
so you
kids
went
there, I'd
on
say,
one.
yeah, they were from more middle class backgrounds.
So back then it was probably actually affordable. I know some of these places are like $30,000 just to go to rehab, and like,
Well, they released me because the insurance ran out, and they wanted to keep me way longer, but the insurance says no, he's well enough to be released. We're not paying for any more extra treatment. He's stabilized, etc. And so they released me early because of the insurance. So I was only there 6 weeks, but they wanted to keep me there for like months. It was a long-term place where you there's this program you work, and it takes months and months and months.
well, were you in it for psych reasons or drug reasons? Did you take
Yeah, they
rehab?
had two tracks. One was substance use, and the other they called it family problems. And I was in the family problem track. But we were all together. It's just what stuff you talked about with your therapist, really.
I know Arizona's like 48th or 49th when it comes to behavioral health, so we're like the bottom of the barrel, and then things like that aren't here. That's one thing I really hate about Republicans. They don't give a shit about citizens when it comes to things like this. I know Trump's going to cut a lot of like Medicaid and Medicare, and that's
I
going
haven't
to,
found that to be true. In fact, I saw where and I haven't fact checked it. It came across as a social media post, but Trump was pushing for peer support to be added to the list of like official profession, like be recognized as an official profession or something. Which is that's something we've been wanting for a while.
yeah, I think there is a good value. I'm peer support certified myself about, somebody that's been in the shoes rather than some doctor who only has this degree but really doesn't know how to relate to you on a one-on-one basis. And we don't get paid outrageous amounts of money and kind of screw the system up. That's one thing
Here,
that,
I'm posting All Things Serious channel. All Things Serious, I'm looking to collaborate with other mental health channels. My
yeah,
channel it started as a mental health channel too. And so if you ever want to come up and talk or collaborate or something, let me know because you're the type of people I've been looking for. So check All Things Serious out as well.
yeah, same here. I definitely want to look at people's chart and kind of see where mental illness kind of springs up and stuff like that too.
I'm here. In fact, I'm checking out some of your stuff now. Okay. All right, let me look at some comment. Yeah. Oh, I'm very glad you stopped by today. This is. I'm an advocate too. I'm a peer counselor,
Yeah, same here.
and then
Um,
I've worked in psych wards, and I think I got more out of working in them than even being in them as a patient.
yeah, I imagine it's a whole other side. Like I worked in prison and stuff, and I see people that were in prison. I work with people that actually in prison, and back then, like you're each other's enemy. You're like cats and dogs, but it's kind of weird. But you get used to it, and you kind of can see the other point of perspective. I know this guy who'd be a great guest for you. He has a really really interesting life. I actually did a birth chart reading for him on my channel. I just released it last week. I think it is.
Oh,
I think it's called Birth Chart of a Viking Spiritual Leader. But he went. He was born in California, and he's real open about his story. So, and his dad was a Hell's Angel, and they were making
oh,
meth, and they lived out in his house out in the desert. That was a trap house, and had like no power or anything like that. And they were raided by police, and this guy he considered like his brother hit like a cop in the head with a shovel. Long story short, he went to DCS custody or CPS custody, whatever you want to call it these days, and they got him addicted to heroin when he was 12 and sex trafficked him out. And he got addicted to heroin, and he started running around with the Armenian mob, and they went on this crime spree across like several states. So he went to federal prison for 16 years, turned his life around. He's on federal probation the rest of his life. And he's just a real interesting dude. I kind of want to help him write a book, like a ghostwrite his autobiography. He has this amazing story.
oh my God! I would love to talk to him.
Yeah, I'll let him know that maybe he's real talkative and stuff. So he'd probably get a kick out of being on your show.
Yeah, send him my way, or even give him my Discord or email or something, and we can set something up. I want more guests anyway. And
Yeah.
all things serious, same for you. If you want to come on as a guest one day, we can focus on your story and your advocacy.
Yeah. I got to remember to check out All Things Serious channel too later. No, he's not Armenian. He just somehow got involved with it. And his chart definitely reflects like his life and the choices that he made. And he's a real good guy. I think he just didn't know anything but negativity since he was a
Because it was
young.
all when he was younger.
Yeah. But his birth chart's really interesting and stuff too. Right. I don't know if you want to bring the chart back up or you just want to talk about other stuff, but
Either way, how much
yeah,
time? How much more time you have?
I'm not in a huge hurry today, but
Okay.
I don't know. Hopefully my computer doesn't die. It's at,
Because I have some errands to run this morning, and then I'm gonna be back out in a few hours for my normal live stream.
okay. So when you got to go exactly?
Uh, just maybe I don't know. I could do another 20, maybe 30 minutes.
Okay. Well, does anybody have any questions from the audience about his chart or anything like
Yeah,
that?
anything you want to know about Donald Trump that Jeff could tell you from the chart. And while he takes questions, I'm gonna go get a refill and come right back. So I'm gonna hand it over to Jeff.
No, nothing. Well, I guess I'll talk about a little bit about, hopefully I'm seeing the comments live. But anyways, I guess I'll talk about where he's supposed to go. We talked about his south node, kind of like the tendencies he needs to stray away from, where he's kind of self-righteous and thinks that he's right and stuff all the time. Do I know the Bible at all? Well, I mostly want questions about astrology, but yes, I did study the Bible quite a bit. I was actually minored in religious studies. What about the Bible? But anyways, what he needs to go to is actually he does need to have these tendencies to be in charge because his north node is conjunct the sun and Uranus. So he's kind of meant to be a rebel rouser because of this conjunction right here. Daniel 10:12. Do I know who King Charles I is? Not exactly. Daniel, I know, is that the kind of the beginning or the end? I know with the book of Revelations was kind of a rewrite of the book of Daniel, the end part of it. The book of Daniel is really drastically different. It starts off how a Hebrew should live outside and present himself in foreign lands. And he was in Persia, I know, and they tried throwing him in a fire and he didn't burn. They tried throwing him in a pit of lions and they didn't kill him and things like that. So he was like kind of touched by God. Then the end of book of Daniel was basically the precursor to the book of Revelations that they just rewrote in the New Testament. What does Daniel 10:12 say? I don't know particularly. I'm not religious or anything. I can't quote the Bible. Donald Trump has everything it takes to fulfill 10, 11, and 12. So you're saying he's a prophet or he's sent from God? And I'm guessing this is the book of Revelations, right? I can't put it on the screen like Jeff does because I'm not the host. At least I don't think I can. But anyways, he does have this tendency to go and be a leader, probably the Antichrist. Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, a lot of his followers are fundamental Christians, but who knows? Elon, false witness. Yeah, I can definitely see him kind of just being anti-establishment and going against the grain, and he's changing things. I don't know if he's changing things for the better. He was a king of Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. Trump is a descendant of King Charles I. Interesting. What was he, like a benevolent leader or a malevolent leader, King Charles? I honestly think Trump doesn't really have good intentions for us. I think he's just gonna he's like libertarian views from what I do know about him. He's trying to take away the government, which I agree with. I think the government does need a lot of their slack tightened, but he's trying to make things private, which I think can be good or bad. But I think billionaires are just going to profit off this privatization of government programs. Like he's getting rid of the Department of Education, but he's not forgetting student loans, which is just one of the biggest Ponzi schemes ever. Oh, Jeff's back.
Student loans, that's what helped most people I know get their education. I had student loans.
I have student loans too, unfortunately, but I think ninety
They
percent
were
of
very
degrees.
low interest rate too. I don't know what the objection of student loans are.
I think it's just a cost of school. Really, it's just outrageous.
So it's not the loans, it's the tuition.
But shouldn't they kind of get the tuition? Because it's basically just become glorified sports program. That's what universities are. And I think 90% of degrees are useless, and requirements for degrees and jobs is,
Well, that's a whole separate issue than the loans themselves.
yeah, but you
Like
need in order
reforming
to,
academia
but in order not to
is
flip burgers at McDonald's, you got to go get a degree and you got to
no,
pay
you
for that degree
don't.
somehow.
You don't need a degree to work at McDonald's.
No, I'm saying if you want to get out of working McDonald's and you
Oh.
want to make money, you have to go get a degree in
Well,
something.
actually, Washington State and I think other states are starting to do this. They just passed a bill where employers can no longer require degrees or any kind of credentialing or any kind of years of experience unless it's legally required to perform the profession. And it goes strictly by your skill set. So if you have the skill set, you have the right to apply for the job and be evaluated as a candidate, and they cannot require degrees.
Yeah, well, the way it should be, but are they going to honor that? It's like they can't
Well,
discriminate
they
against
by
you,
law they have to here.
but by law they can't discriminate against you for disabilities, but they do it all the time, anyways.
Well, then that's when you file a case.
But
If
does it usually
enough
go
people file,
anywhere?
that's what keeps the law enforced. Because laws still have to be enforced.
I know, but do they? I mean, like, how many times have you been ostracized from jobs? I know we talked about this just because of your neurodivergence.
Yeah, but every time I've also filed complaints too.
And do they go
Most
through?
most employers I know, the ones that are competent and know what they're doing, and it's not a dysfunctional workplace, are going to stay within the lines. It's in their own interest to not create extra trouble for themselves.
But did you win any of those cases? Did you get your job back? Or
Um,
did you compensated?
the one I fought, the recent one, it went to mediation, so we resolved it with mediator.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think it does depend on degree too. All things serious, like a doctor definitely needs to have a degree, or an engineer or something like that. But kind of to work in behavioral health, like you really need to have a bachelor's in psychology to be like a case manager or something like that. Probably not. And most jobs I know that require bachelor's to be a case manager in behavioral health, and I've done it without it. I was one of the few that didn't require the degree, and I did better than most other case managers with degrees.
I don't find a lot of clinical people that helpful when it comes to the practice of actually helping the patients. They know a lot of theory and they know how to write chart notes and they know how to communicate with the insurance companies and the upper management. But if you put a patient in front of them that's escalating or that's going through a crisis or that's having some kind of mental health challenge, very few of them I find very helpful.
Yeah, and there's just so many laws and stuff too, like or like de-escalating. Like I know I can understand it, like, and I'm not a big hugger or anything, but like some people, I go out, I work for the crisis mobile team, so I go out to people that are actively suicidal or homicidal or psychotic or needing to go detox or whatever. A lot of these people just want to be hugged and embraced, and we're not allowed to do that, which I see why, because they can accuse you of this and that X, Y, and Z happens. But they tend to take like the human touch out of like that sort of thing. And I think that's a big proponent of it. Not that I'm going to go around and like have a hugging circle or anything like that, but I think that's just what a lot of people need. They just need validated and uh, kind of listened to. And a doctor that's going to listen to you for 15 minutes and kind of pontificate his points and flash his degree is not really all that helpful for people. And just to give you a pill.
I'm from the South. I'm gonna hug whoever I want. I'm a grown adult, and if another grown adult wants to hug, that's between me and that adult.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily constrained by some of the codes of ethics that some of these professions draw
Okay.
on.
While you were gone, we were talking about a little bit of the Bible and how Trump's going to fulfill Daniel 10, 11, and 12, which basically is
That's
like a
got to be
precursor.
freak, the freak.
Well, anyways, I guess we'll wrap this up since you got to get going.
Okay, what is give us wrap it up for us. Give us the what to expect. What do we have coming from Trump?
Well, this doesn't exactly tell the future. I guess the 11th house kind of is later in life when all this transpires. So
You did
it's
say
about,
possible global war or some kind of cataclysmic war in July.
well, it's kind of like when that energy like goes in transits. It's not exactly like these outer planets like Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune. They weren't discovered in ancient times, and they move really, really, really slow. It takes Pluto 240 years to go all the way around. So it's just kind of like this energy that lingers for a long period of time. And not necessarily like that Trump is going to push us into World War III. He may. I don't. I kind of don't agree with not funding Ukraine, but I can see how much of a burden it is on
I
taxpayers.
thought
But
they were approaching some kind of deal, like Putin had agreed to stop fighting or so. I saw a headline earlier this week.
didn't they have several ceasefire agreements and like with Hamas and Israel, but they always fall through though?
Well, I mean, we'll see. That's one thing that Zelensky was concerned about when he did that press conference.
One thing about Trump, I remember his last presidency, he did go to Kim Jong Un in North Korea, and he kind of our relations with North Korea were never better at that point. So he maybe does have this disarming effect on people, and maybe he can prevent a war. Y'all fall for the Zionists using the Bible as a playbook. The freak, you won't be the one tricked. Only one tricked though, if you feel alone, remember others are just tricked as you.
Barber. Good to see you, Frank. Um, it's
Uh,
always nice when you stop by.
All right. But anyways, his north node is where he needs to go in life. I was talking about this a little bit. It's really hard to live stream a birth chart reading because there's so many distractions. But yeah, he needs to kind of be the center of attention. He needs to be in the media. He needs to be a leader, and he needs to have Uranian ways of flipping the coin and kind of upheaving the current
Flip the
ways because
fries.
things are changing, like it or not. And uh, he's definitely the one that is a proponent of change. So that's
Embrace it.
where we're going.
Embrace the change. Don't fight it.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming, like it or not. We just got to hold our breath and see what happens, I guess. But anyways, that's it for me. I'm not doing birth chart readings right now. I guess I do want to get someone on and read their birth chart, probably for free, because I'm waiting for the license as we
Read
talked
Frank.
about
Frank, you
last.
should let Jeff read your chart one day.
Yeah, he's I guess he's skeptical of it. I think he made the comment that
Uh,
I trust this shit as much as I trust a clown's barber.
yeah. But yeah, if anyone wants, like, reach out to Jeff because he is, like, in training or you've completed one of the courses. You're trying to do this astrology thing as a profession.
Uh, I I think you'll never learn about astrology in one lifetime. It's so comprehensive, and I'll always be ongoing. I think that's the beauty of it. Um, but yeah, I'm always going to be in training. But I'm pretty proficient in birth charts, reading birth charts. Like I said, it's pretty hard to do in a live stream because you're taking questions and getting distracted. I'm skeptical of the workman, not the tool. Oh, okay.
He's just being a troll. That's what he does. It's-
That's one thing I wanted to analyze trolls. Like, why do people troll and what kind of makes them tick?
I've
Like,
done streams on this that we've come up with several reasons.
what are some of those
Well,
reasons?
some of it's power testing and kind of asserting, finding their place in a group and asserting their own identity. But then a lot of it is social bonding. It's trolling for an audience that they bond with as a result, and then the audience that watches the trolling bonds together as well.
And it's kind of like the archetypal bully too. Like people bully other people because they feel so shitty about themselves. So making other people miserable helps them feel better about themselves because they're making other people feel worse than they actually feel about themselves. That's probably
Yeah, some of it's that, some of it's and some of it's just trickster. energy, the
Yeah,
trickster archetype.
has nothing to do with
I
Zionism,
wonder
though.
what the planet or sign of the troll would be.
It's
Maybe.
very, very convoluted. I mean, a lot of energies do bleed over and things like that. So it's very hard. I think, like this, what I have circled here right now is very troll like. I think
Oh, hang on, let
Uranus
me.
probably is about trolling. It's just about, oh, the chart's not even showing.
There it is.
Okay. But yeah, so I think that Uranus right there, the 11th house, Mercury, which we didn't talk much about. That's kind of,
Oh,
that is,
Mercury, the trickster. Yeah.
yeah, that is the trickster archetype right there. And Uranus is kind of seen as the higher octave of Mercury. So
Because
I think that,
trolling is an intellectual activity. It takes a certain amount of intelligence to troll and to perceive opportunities for trolling and a certain amount of social intelligence.
think so.
Yeah, I do. I don't know how. I don't know that really dumb, not very bright people would make effective trolls. I think that there you just get your bully.
Yeah. Anyways, any last questions, comments, concerns?
Well, thanks as always, audience. You've been great, Jeff. Thank you. Hopefully, we'll do it again. Maybe we'll do Elon next. And as I said, if anybody wants their chart read, reach out to Jeff or check out his blog, his channel. Is your
Yep.
blog listed on your channel? Because I posted your channel in the description.
Yeah, you can go to nicholsastrology.com and my blog is there.
Here
So
you
yeah,
go. I'll
and if you want
post
a
that
chart reading,
link.
hit me up. Maybe we can talk about it and do something. Probably pre-record it because I can't really concentrate on doing astrology and looking at all comments and stuff. It's not easy.
Frank,
And
we were supposed to have boobs way back when, and they never came through. Remember, you were part of that conversation. I don't know what happened. You'll have to talk to the boob person. We had a point person on boobs. I myself have no ability to provide the boobs.
I got man boobs, but nobody probably wants to see those. So
Oh, your moobs? You never know here. There's we get all types.
yeah,
Here, I'm
beauty of the
gonna put
internet.
your
You can always find your tribe. You can always find your niche or your fetish or whatever.
yeah. Hopefully, that's my hope. I have for the most part, and still looking for some of those niches.
Well,
And
sorry for the Trump lovers out
I
there
put his
for
website in the description as well.
yeah, and I wrote a blog on it, but it's not very gentle on Trump. So I'm sorry I bashed your savior there.
Ah,
I would have bashed Kamala or Biden or anybody else just as equally as hard. So, yeah. But thank you guys. Appreciate it.
thank you, Jeff. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good week,
All
and
right.
we'll talk again.
No problem. Bye.
Okay, take care. All right. That's going to be it for me too. I have to go get my day started, have errands to run, and then I'm going to try to make it out for 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific for my usual stream. But if I am not out at that exact time, I will be out at some point. So just look for me, and guess I'll see you then. It's he comes and goes, Frank. He has this ability to keep himself in the headlines when he needs to, but sometimes he gets upstaged by other things, or sometimes he just kind of drops back on his own. In fact, we can look at the headlines real quick. Let's see what's going on. I haven't looked today at all. The last like 3 or 4 days has been all about that Signal chat where they leak those war plans. Every single time I pull up the news, that's what's at the top. RFK plans 10,000 job cuts in major restructuring of the health department. There was a submarine that sank off of Egypt's coast, leaving 6 dead. It was a tourist submarine. Um, they're continuing to arrest college students for their involvement in some of the protests. Someone mentioned 4 Americans being killed on the border of Belarus, but it hasn't made top headlines, which is interesting. In fact, I can't even find anything. Someone said it in the chat the other day, but I can't even find anything. 4 American soldiers found dead at the Belarus-Lithuanian border. 4 soldiers missing during a training exercise. Search and rescue underway. I guess they found them. And this is from the Euro Maiden Press. That's that's the one that seems to even be carrying the story. Oh, okay, wait. They were doing a search and rescue and they went missing and they found them. It says they likely died as a result of entering a body of water. So it's not necessarily that they were killed, just that they died. Okay, well there's that story too. So that's the news. Oh, hey Leggy, what's up? You're blue. What does that mean? Like that song? Was it Eiffel 500 or something? I'm not. I am not the happy, colorful gay. Come on, you should know that by now. I'm okay. I'm just not happy and cheerful. I'm not miserable and depressed. I'm just not all that happy and cheerful. I wish I were more. Could be. But sometimes I don't know. I'm okay. I get excited to see people when they show up, and that's happy enough for me. See, now you trolling. You trolling. We had this conversation last night. You doing the same thing. When that makes it harder for me to isolate people like Frauditor as examples when y'all are taking your little digs too. Earth tone gay. I'm also goth gay. And y'all, there was this guy at work. He had a pair of black denim pants and it had a red skeleton on the pocket and it had these red lightning stripes along one of the legs and I want those pants. I think that the red and black kind of goth look is inspiring me too. So that might be one of my next wardrobe refreshes. So yes, I am earth tone, but I'm also satanic like red, black, red, and colors that go with that too. So I have two main color palettes, and those are them. They were in an AVF. Oh, okay. So it just got submerged on its own, or how does an AVF end up in a body of water if humans didn't put it there somehow? Did they miscalculate? I've had that happen growing up on the four wheeler, where you think you can make it through a puddle or a mud hole, and you realize you've misjudged and you get stuck, and then you have to get out and get help pushing it. Human error. Okay. Well, that's that's sad actually. What a note to end on. So much for happy and cheerful now. Um, well, the happy and cheerful part is this is not the last you'll see of me today. I'll be out in a few hours for my normal live stream where Frank will come up and finally give his tragic Santa story, which would probably be good for a laugh. I know that you know Gator has a O in it and not a E, but later too, because you're making it match later. Okay. Um, I can't think of anything more happy and cheerful to end on than that Frank is leaving. So let's take advantage of that moment to end it now. I'm just kidding, Frank. Uh, from one troll to another. All right. Take care, everybody. I'll be back soon. And we'll do an open panel. Have a great day. Take care.